Welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is TJ and I'll be your host for today's episode of Around the Blockchain. We've got a really good show lined up for you today. As you know, every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, we come to you live when we gather up our favorite people and personalities from around the blockchain to discuss the trending topics of the day as well as some of your most asked questions. We've got some really good guests for you today and some really good topics to discuss. I'll introduce them real quick. We'll start off with Altcoin Daily. And no, you're not. No, he didn't grow a beard overnight. This is actually the other half of the channel. Is Austin's brother Aaron. He's going to be joining us today. He's got a lot of really good topics to discuss. We're joined again. The doc is in the house. Crypto Vet going to be bringing some more. And Justin Williams actually joining us today. He is best known for the naming this actual YouTube channel as well as running our NFT division and a lot of the stuff we've got going on with the Bitverse. And as always, Ben Armstrong bringing down the house. He's got a lot to say. We're going to jump into this discussion, and hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit better today than you were yesterday. It's been a wild ride. We've seen a lot of volatility, a lot of ups and downs. We've got some really good topics. We're going to talk about the gigantic Bitcoin inflows we've seen over the last few days. I think it was over 32,000 Bitcoin we saw hit exchanges as well as get withdrawn. So we're seeing some kind of fishy behavior going on with some of these whales. So we're going to dive in and see if there's a little manipulation going on, talk about that, as well as round it out with the tax regulations that came out today. We've got new stuff from the U.S. Treasury saying that they're going to be taking a really hard look to make sure nobody's evading their taxes. And should you be worried? Should you be concerned? Does this have impact on the price? We'll get right into it and hear from the pros. So, oh, and if you're new to the show, if you've never done this before, if you're new in the audience or as a guest, you'll see those score boxes in the bottom right-hand corner. That's for if you like what you hear from any of the guests, drop a +1 in the chat, and I'll know to give them a point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the episode will have 30 seconds to leave the audience with a parting thought. As always, we've got the channel links and descriptions in the description, so you know, if you like I said, if you like what you hear from these guests, go follow and show the BitSquad love to some of these other channels. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, because they all make really, really good content, and they deserve for that to be seen. So let's jump right in. Let's not waste any more time. We'll start with you, Ben, with some of these gigantic inflows. Is this a coordinated event? Is there things you're seeing that make you feel like this is clear manipulation? What's your take on all the inflows and outflows we've seen over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at what happened the other day with the largest inflow in history by a long shot, it's not even close. It definitely looks coordinated. And then there's some information that we shared yesterday that I've got even more confirmation of, that there's definitely some stuff going on in different parts of the world where there's some coordination trying to dump the price to buy more. And then when you look at the fact that, just a few weeks ago, I had someone tell me that a lot of these venture capital firms were moving money out. Who do you think are the whales? Who's doing this manipulation? Obviously, there's a lot of the VC people where they're moving money out of altcoins, out of new tokens, into Bitcoin and into Ethereum when it hits these lower prices. It definitely seems to be a coordinated event, in my opinion. This is one of those things that it's kind of hard to ever truly prove unless we get some information. But like I said on the stream earlier today, that doesn't mean just because this is coordinated that we're going to have a coordinated upswing, on the other side. Hopefully we do. But, a lot of people were waiting on this event to happen last night that was going to pump the price. There was a countdown. This was kind of an extension of the subreddit post that we looked at the other day, or the 4chan post that we looked at the other day. We'll just have to see. We didn't have any major movement overnight. I mean, just a standard kind of movement in between 38 and 42 that we're seeing right now. But I definitely do think there was coordination in this, no doubt about it.
Okay, great take. And then Aaron, I know you guys do a lot of digging into the charts with Glassnode and a lot of the data with inflows. What is your take on your channel, and what is it you're sharing with your audience about what we've seen over the last day or so?
Thank you very much, TJ. Nice to be here. Like you said, my brother, half the team of Altcoin Daily, has been on the show 2 times, but this is my first time, and you always remember your first, so I will always remember this.
All right.
Now, thank you, Ben, my biggest fan. Now, regarding the Bitcoin inflows, here's the thing. There's 2 different things. One, yes, there's obviously manipulation. Our last video on our channel covered all of that. I think BitBoy talked about it as well. But two is, and when people ask about inflows, I think what they're really asking is this bearish? Are we entering a bear market? Because that means instead of as opposed to what we've been seeing over the past year, people taking their Bitcoin off of exchanges. Now, all of a sudden, we see some people bringing their Bitcoin to exchanges, which obviously means you're going to sell. So the real question is this a sign that the bear market is ending? Not talking about the manipulation, just talking about Bitcoin inflows in general. Is the bear market ending? I would say no. I would say that this is more indicating that we're in the second half of the bear market. In the second half of the bear market is when you have the most upside. It's the most exciting part. It's, you know, where the greatest gains are made. But even if, like, for instance, if you take a look at last cycle, you can see it was probably around the same point in time that Bitcoin inflows started way below Bitcoin reaching $20,000. It was really after Bitcoin broke all-time highs, a little bit after that, people started sending their Bitcoin to exchanges and selling some of it. And, you know, you get the famous stories, oh, I sold my Bitcoin too early. So I would say this is just indicating that we're in the second half of the bear market. And actually what we saw in the first half, if you've been subscribed to our channel, Altcoin Daily or BitBoy's channel, you probably saw, and it was reported to you, just how deep and how long the outflows of Bitcoin were compared to previous cycles. So it's just natural we're going to get some people selling. It's just what happens on the second half of the bull cycle. And, you know, it doesn't change the fact of how deep and long the outflows were at the beginning. My girlfriend says that's uncommon.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that's what I was gonna. That actually brings me.
It's good. I don't know.
That actually brings me
right?
to another question you alluded to. Like, so in your mind, you don't think we're entering into a bear market right now. This is just part of the bull cycle. So do you think we're approaching oversold territory, or do you think there's still more room to move?
I mean, it could move down a little bit. I have no idea what's going to happen in the short term. I know long term, Bitcoin is going up. In my opinion, Ethereum's going up. I think we're going to see something similar to what we saw in 2017, except a whole lot bigger. Because for people who haven't been in the market long, and you guys can all attest to this, and I'll be brief, the amount of growth and building in the last 4 years, let alone the Bitcoin's last 12 years, is immense. In 2014, there's one exchange, Mt. Gox, it got hacked and crashed. By 2017, there are a few exchanges. Binance wasn't around. Now they're the world's largest exchange. But still, I remember at the top, exchanges were turning people away because they just did not have the infrastructure to onboard new people. Cut to today, the plumbing, the infrastructure has 100x'd in my opinion. The awareness has 100x'd in my opinion. And yet Bitcoin, if you say about 60,000 was the top, it's only 3x'd. So, you know, plenty of volatility. That's the fun of it. But I think for coins, more quality coins, plenty more upside to go.
Great points. Yeah, that we are definitely in a different landscape today than we were 4 years ago. But let me go to you, Justin. We saw the fear greed index hit an all-time, I guess, low yesterday with 11 points, it being an extreme fear. Are you fearful now, or do you think we're going into a bear market, or what's your take?
You know, to answer the first question you were going around is, I do think there's mass manipulation. I don't think that's a question. I think everybody agrees with that. When you see the size of a sell-off, I was reading somewhere that we haven't seen this size of a sell-off since 2013. So when you see this size, when you see Bitcoin at 65K and it goes down to what was the low, 29, and then it goes back up to 40, then back down to 36, and then now it's kind of hovering around 40. When you see that kind of correction, I mean, that's going to scare anybody, you know, and that's the telltale sign. If you go back into the charts, you know, to previous cycles, when you see that kind of move, that size of a move, it's told us that was the beginning, you know, and so the beginning of a bear market. So to answer the question, yes, I do think that we're heading that way. I think definitely, I'm not telling anybody to buy anything right now. I've actually tethered a lot of my portfolio and kind of see where it's going to settle out at. I don't feel comfortable telling anybody to buy anything. Long term, you know, do I think Bitcoin's going to go up? Absolutely. Do I think Ethereum's going to go up? Sure. Do I think it's the way of the future? Yeah. But I mean, what time frame are people willing to hold, you know, to see that kind of, increase? You know, it's probably going to be, you know, a good 3 or 4 years. 5 years from now, we're all going to be happy if we hold. But I sat through the last bear market and I watched it go down, and it's not fun, So, yeah, I think we're on the beginning. Absolutely, I think we're there.
Interesting.
Whoa. So you're saying that you think 65,000 was the top, and for the rest of the year, we're not going above 65,000, Justin? That's what you're telling us?
I think there's a pretty decent argument that a lot of people were scared. I think you need retail investors. I think a lot of people bought around 50,000, 60,000, and then they panic. I mean, people that I know, they panic sold at the bottom, and then they bought back in just 2 days ago, and then they sold again at the bottom. So you need retail investors to increase the price. That's the last leg of a bull cycle. And so now at this point, the amount of correction that we saw, man, it scared a lot of people. So do I want that to be the truth? I don't want it. I want it to go to $400,000 tomorrow. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't.
Yeah. So you're taking a much more conservative approach of kind of watch and wait and like tether off, take the profits off the table of what you've got now. Like you said, did you say the majority of your portfolio is tethered off, or just some of it?
I would say half of my portfolio is tethered off. I'm not saying that I'm turning it into USD and putting it in my bank, but I'm definitely watching and waiting, and maybe wait a week to see what's going to happen, and then put it back in. But I'm not gonna relive December 2017 and January 2018 again. When everybody on YouTube is telling you like it's gonna keep going up, this is just a correction and hodl, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I guess
I did it last time. Small YouTubers.
Yeah, fool you once, shame on you. I guess they're not going to get you again. So, all right.
Exactly. PTSD is the phrase for Justin. He's very scared. And don't worry, Justin.
It's a real thing.
Justin, after the show, I'm going to come into the other room and I'm going to hold you. Okay. You'll be all
right. By the
way,
BitBoy's got retail coverage. He'll bring him in.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got what?
The retail
cover. Don't worry about retail coming in. BitBoy's got it. I'll back clean up. Retail's coming in.
We're bringing them. We're bringing them, baby. Let's go.
All right. So from the big dogs to the up and comer crypto vet, what are you telling people these days?
Well, I personally don't think that this is the top for Bitcoin. However, it's very scary. I mean, exactly like Justin was saying, it's very scary to see, so much of your portfolio disappear, 55, 54%, whatever it is. I'm watching seven figures. Ben's over here, Mr. Big Man losing 8 figures, but that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy to, lose this much money, all unrealized, of course. And then, it's all because somebody with a lot more money can change and manipulate the market. So that's very, very, very frustrating to me overall. But I don't think this is the top of the market. I think we had one structure for 2013 where we did have that 55 or whatever percent dump. Then we had the next structure from 2017 to 2018, where we only had 30 to 40% dips the whole way up. And now we have this anomaly, this little rando that we don't know what to do with here, because it could follow the first one and continue up from here on, or it could do its own thing and we have a nice V-shaped recovery and it's absolutely awesome. But I definitely don't think this is the end of the bull run. My position, though, is kind of a blend of what Justin has. I have about 25% in, USDT, whatever one I'm using right now. And then the rest, I've actually mostly out of Bitcoin, and I'm actually in XRP, only because it hasn't reached all-time highs, and I actually believe the fundamentals behind XRP more than anything, compared to lots of other coins. And once we hit all-time high, we can reassess from there. But for now, I think I have more percentage gains to be made with XRP than I do with, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum at the current time. So right now I'm telling people to buy the dip of what they feel is best. Again, I'm just a doctor/idiot. This is not financial advice, but yeah, anything bought right now is on a fire sale, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, it went from where a few days ago we were all saying buy crypto to now we're to our friends and family and people asking, now we're like buy crypto? I don't know. Buy crypto?
Maybe.
I I don't know.
Well, one question I was going to ask you, Ben, I don't know if this means we're crazy. It seems like Altcoin Daily might be in the same camp as us, but did we move anything over to Tether yesterday outside of normal operating business?
Yeah, no. I mean, the only thing we moved is the same thing that we moved the last week. We're buying a house, a real estate investment, so we've been moving over like 25K a day. But that's generally what we do anyways. That's just from, different money that we have. We did not move anything out of any coins, other than that average, that normal Bitcoin move we make every day. So, have I been considering moving some of our crypto? I have been considering moving some of our altcoins into Bitcoin and into Ethereum. That's what I'm weighing out right now. I'm not weighing out, should we just take massive amounts of money and move it over to stable coins? I'm weighing out, are we going to see the Bitcoin dominance rise? And it makes sense to get out of Matic. I mean, that thing is pumped gigantically. We've gone from $150,000 in that to $800,000 in a span of a few weeks. Like, don't feel like that can continue too much longer. Looking at some of our Chainlink money and some Aave money, looking at some of that stuff and saying, does that make sense to move over to Bitcoin in the short term? Maybe, because if you're moving over to Bitcoin, it's more like it's going to hold better than anything if we drop, other than a stable coin, of course. And on the way up, if the Bitcoin dominance is rising, it's going to perform, outperform most of the market. So, but, we still call us crazy. And, we're certainly not without concern, but we don't think this is over.
Yeah. No, it is amazing to consider we can watch 8 figures disappear in 2 days, unrealized, of course, but still not be worried about it. We still feel
it hurts a little different.
It does. I mean, your emotions will get to you. I mean, it's definitely an emotional feeling, but when you're looking at all this data like we do every day, and you made a good point there with the Bitcoin dominance. We were actually looking at some of that this morning on Glassnode, and every time we see these market corrections in the middle of a bear market, we see the Bitcoin dominance spike up right afterwards, and then it tends to...
In a bull market. You mean
in a bull market. Did I say
you
bear?
and Aaron both said bear market. Both of you did.
I meant in a bull market.
We're trying to push us into a bear market.
No.
This is the manipulation.
No, this is definitely not. But then, like you said, we see an extended run up for Bitcoin, and then altcoins get those blow off top towards the end. So it seems like we're kind of split screen here, where we've got the guys on the left that are feeling like we're in the middle. This is the calm before the storm, in the middle of a bull market.
Let's go.
As well as a little bit more conservative approach of like, look, I'm going to take some gains. I'm not going to watch it go back to zero again, no matter what happens. So,
well, the guys on the right also said that XRP has strong
side
fundamentals. So,
yeah, that is true.
He did say that.
He did say that. We won't be too hard on him.
I mean, I know. Hey, everybody has their argument, guys. Like.
Well, but by the way, I'd change my mind on XRP the minute one bank starts using them. It's only been 9-10 years. Maybe this will be the year when one bank uses it.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, as of right now, there's actually lots of banks that use it.
For
That's
what?
not what they told the SEC.
They use XRP.
Yeah, there are actually lots of banks that use XRP for as a bridge currency for cross-border payments. SBI.
By the way,
I think it's like 12. But
I'm a huge fan of CryptoVet. I'd subscribe to CryptoVet. It's just
hey, there
just
we go.
pushing back in the XRP.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. We like
But
it.
It makes me money. It makes me money. That's all I care about.
It has some pump.
Don't love it. Don't hate it. Don't date it. Just trade it.
Yeah, I'll give it pumpamentals over fundamentals any day. But we've been talking a lot about the whale manipulation, and some people say maybe that's just a cop-out. This is just the Wild West. This is how markets work. There's a few different theories floating around right now. Ben referenced that 4chan article about some of the stuff going on in the Middle East. It seems kind of like a stretch of some of the stuff that's going on there, but it's plausible. And then we've also got some stuff where we know some people were specifically trying to liquidate a large position that could be potentially Justin Sun's position. So actually, you guys were talking before we started. Ben and Aaron had met before at a Justin Sun dinner. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. The Warren Buffett lunch, the original one, Warren Buffett did not show up, and so we got to eat his duck, and it was pretty cool. Back then, Ben had like 10,000 subscribers, and I was trying to give him tips back in the day. the back of my head to grow his channel. In the back of my head, I was like, I love Ben. He's a great guy to hang with. I don't see his channel getting too big. Boy, was I wrong. This guy's killing it.
And here we all are.
I do think about that a lot, because I did steal a lot of those tips and tricks you gave me to help with the growth of the channel. So appreciate
you,
Aaron.
to see Ben even more.
And do you want to tell them what you said when they brought out the caviar, Ben?
Yeah, so they brought out the caviar, and let me just set it up like this. They brought me out a dish, and it had like some bread and some blueberries on it. And I told them, I said, I don't like blueberries. And then they said, that's caviar. And I said, what's that? So that's how fancy I am, guys. But let me tell you, I did eat it because it was not blueberries, and it tasted quite good. I actually enjoyed it. I understand why the rich people eat it. Haven't had it since, but maybe in the bear market.
Yeah, or bull market, yeah.
Yeah, well, I just have time to go to a fancy restaurant in the bear market.
Oh, I got you. You're not going to be eating those. I thought we've been saving those hodl noodles for the bear market.
Somebody was eating them today. I smelled them in here.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It was probably Justin. It was probably Justin.
It was Justin.
They're not bad. Yeah. They're actually not bad.
Okay, well, let's dive into that manipulation a little bit. I kind of want to hear you guys' take. Like, apparently there was 34,000 Bitcoin that got bought up right there at that 29K mark. So it flashed down to 29,000 just briefly. 34,000 gets scooped, and then it jumped right back 10,000 straight back up. So it seems like it would take a lot of coordination to actually pull that off. Do we think there's any exchanges involved in that? What is your best theory? Like, if you had to give like one answer to somebody, like gun to your head, why did Bitcoin drop yesterday? What would you say, Ben?
I would say a coordinated effort to make people sell. I mean, there's a lot of different factors. There's a lot of different ways we can map that out and say who did it. But to me, that's definitely what happened, is that there was some type of planned, coordinated event where people were going to sell. Was it to liquidate Justin Sun? Was it just to get people to sell? Was it to send a message? I don't know the answer, but I do know that those inflows. We read an article by Cointelegraph this morning. Cointelegraph this morning, and it said that obviously the inflows yesterday were a result. They said obviously it was a result of people scared about Tesla not accepting Bitcoin for their cars.
What a joke.
Like, how asinine does that say? And I know a lot about Cointelegraph, and I know that if anybody's connected knows the real story, it's them. They just won't ever tell it. So the fact that even Cointelegraph is trying to throw this off like it's, some sort of just, people are scared that you can't buy Bitcoin or you can't buy Tesla with Bitcoin right now. That makes no sense. And the fact that they tried to throw that smoke screen, they're probably involved in it in some way. So they probably know what the real story is and the real event. And we don't know, but I definitely think those inflows, we have no fundamental news yesterday to make that much Bitcoin, a record number, go into exchanges and sell all at the same time.
Yeah, good point. And Justin, what if you had to say one reason it dropped yesterday, what would you put it on?
Well, obviously it's coordinated manipulation. I guess that would be the one thing, but there's a lot that goes into that. I think everybody was pushed to the edge by several stories. Elon, the environmental stuff, like all this other stuff, they were kind of pushed to the edge. A lot of people started selling. And then when the dump happened, there was a lot of panic selling going on. I had people starting at 6 a.m. I sleep till about 6:30. About 6 a.m., I had everybody that I'd ever talked to about Bitcoin and Ethereum calling me. What do I do? What do I do? Like, all the exchanges were locked up. They couldn't trade into Tether, and mass hysteria started happening. So I think this is something that happens every cycle, it seems like. It's story after story after story. And then there's the big story that really drives the price down. I remember Binance hack, and then KuCoin's office was supposedly raided last cycle. I mean, all these crazy things, Turkey banning crypto, and then they're not. And it's definitely organized. They're playing on a different level than we are. Well, at least I am, maybe not Ben, but it's a definite organized thing. So organized manipulation, that's what I say.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And like you mentioned, it seems like a FUD cycle, and this is not uncommon to stuff we've experienced in the past, where it gets bullish, 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 brings a lot of new people in. We saw Doge popping off. I mean, the SNL thing, all this, it had gone really mainstream, and then on a dime, it switches to all negative news from all sources, everywhere you can hear. Do you have something you wanted to say, Ben?
Yeah, I want to say something. I think is very important. You guys know that when the money starts dumping, like on Market Cipher, if you guys use Market Cipher, we get the yellow X's for the whale manipulation. They usually come at the bottom when things are exhausted. Mm-hmm. And to me, the fact that we saw that SEC story this morning about them looking at crypto taxes and regulation, and we did not see a massive sell-off from that today. I think that's a clue that we could be near the bottom of this. That might have been their last-ditch effort to throw the one more giant FUD story out. If you go look right now, there's all kinds of stories about the SEC and regulation. There's also a story that came out a couple of days ago about how the SEC itself affects the market action, which is kind of ironic. But that was one thing I definitely thought earlier on the stream when we saw that news that Janet and Yellen with the bird haircut was going to come out and say, that they're going to start investigating crypto and that we were going to drop, and we didn't. So, that's, I think, maybe a clue.
Yeah, and that'll bring me to my next question. Crypto Vet, do you think the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, so to speak, is getting exhausted, that we're in the oversold territory? People are less scared today than they were yesterday, and we're going to see things ticking back up?
Yeah, I definitely think that we're getting right to that point. And just like Justin was saying, this correlates with previous cycles where, I actually pulled up on stream that an actual article from September 11th, 2017, and it shows that crypto is going to be banned in China. And then 4 days later, we had the biggest correction during that time, and we actually touched the 20-weekly exponential moving average a couple days after that FUD. And this was right before Bitcoin went all the way up to $20,000 at that point. So now looking at it, we're getting all of this FUD. And I think it has a mixture of that. Plus, if you think of how big the market is, like if you have the stock market, Google, all of these, we're talking trillions of dollars. It's not as easy to manipulate that. But, your Bitcoin, as of earlier, was only worth $1 trillion, right? Because we dropped so low. Much easier money-wise. So I definitely think there had to be some sort of coordinated attack. And with Elon Musk tweeting, it's almost like it was too big of a cascade. And it's like we overshot our supports just because it happened a little bit too fast with too much stuff going on all at the same time. So overall, who knows where to go from here. But it really sucks when you have to play against people who have the upper hand.
Yeah, I actually just saw a super chat that said Jerome Powell just said he's going to be taking a closer look at stablecoins as well. So it's getting really interesting. Go ahead. Do you have something you want to say, Aaron?
Well, I wanted to comment on that, and I want to comment on Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell's statements, but also briefly on the manipulation. Yes, manipulation happened. The market was going to correct anyway. So we might have saw a 30-40% correction like we normally do. But with these big hedge funds or quant funds or these huge whales just playing with the market, they sent the market down a little bit further than I think was fair value. Now, here's the thing. Whoever shorted it, somebody tried to stop the short or stop the long or whatever. Normally in bull markets, shorting Bitcoin is a bad idea because markets usually break up and then you'll have to cover your short and then that's going to push the price higher. So that's what I wanted to say on that. But then second, with Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell both talking about central bank digital currencies, Janet Yellen saying she's going to tax Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. To me, that reminds me of a quote it makes me think of a quote from the popular movie Dodgeball, a true underdog story starring Vince Vaughn.
Is that Dogeball? Dogeball?
Yes, Dogeball. So watching
Doge
Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell speak on the scary